everybody, Amber here from Atomik. Today I'm going to be taking you through a couple of the features in create mode in Midjourney and how it can affect the output of the images that you create. So let's dive into Midjourney. So on the create page, you can see that I've got a number of creations, and there's a few ways in which I create my images. So there's the prompt itself, and I do have a little bit of a guide on how I create my prompts. My style of prompting is a little bit more specific, so my prompts tend to be quite long. But I also have a number of parameters that I default to when I'm creating images in Midjourney. So I'll take you through some of those parameters now. Now you have your text prompt itself, and you can start off super simple, like if Dolce & Gabbana made saris. You can specify your aspect ratio here. You can say portrait, landscape, or square. If you don't put anything into your prompt or pick out of these parameters, the default setting is to create square images in Midjourney. You then have a mode of standard or raw, and standard will have the AI model will put its own beautification over the image. Raw gives you something that's a lot more accurate to the prompt that you have. But raw can do some weird things if your prompt is super simple. Now, raw works well if you've got very specific prompts and you want sort of a certain ethnicity of a model, you want an age group of a model, and you want the AI to be more specific in the output and accurate to what your text prompt is. So that's what raw does. I keep it in standard for most of my generations. You can then choose what model you want to use from Midjourney, and Midjourney has a number of versions. The earlier version you go, the more basic the output, and the AI model got sophisticated with every version that came out. And then personalize, you can actually tell Midjourney and set up your own personal profile, and it kind of A/B tests. It gives you two images and you pick your preferences, and that helps you to train and tell Midjourney the kind of style and aesthetic of images that you prefer. So I'm going to keep mine on because I've trained Midjourney in my preferences. Let's have a look at some of these parameters here on the aesthetics. Now, stylization will make more artistic renderings of your images. So if you want something that's a bit more painterly or puts more artistic styles like comic styles, etc. on, you might want to pump up the stylization. I like to keep it sort of between 0 or 100. Weirdness gives you serendipity, and variety gives you, for the 4 images that Midjourney will generate for each prompt, it will give you more variety between each image. So I keep my variety to low because I quite like creating consistent sets of images. Now the speed down here depends on the subscription that you have. So I have a subscription where I buy a certain number of fast hours per month. And that means that my renders will take between 30 and 40 seconds. Now, if I choose to do it on turbo mode, that will be faster, but it means that I use my monthly fast hours quicker. So I'll keep it to fast, and relaxed is, well, it's relaxed, so it's going to be slower. So let's keep to fast. So let me show you what a very simple prompt will give you. I'll speed some of this up so that we're not sat here in silence. So you can see that it's created us 4 images, and most of them are looking like they are catwalk model shots. So it's given me models, they're all wearing saris. This one looks like a European model. This is also very Eurocentric. This looks less catwalky. It looks like there's a palace in the background for her shot. This very much a catwalk shot, and again, looks like a catwalk shot. So if we take this text, go back to create, we use text and pre-populate here. What we can do is we can get a little bit more specific and help the AI to give us the type of image that we want. So I want to have an Indian model, and Indian model wearing Dolce & Gabbana made saris in a lush Indian palace. And then I'm going to say shot in the style of a Harper's Bazaar fashion editorial. Now what we're going to do here is I'll hit enter on this and I'll show you, and then what we'll do is we'll use the same prompt and we'll change some of those parameters around stylization and variety. So now you can see we've got some different results to the original set. So these no longer look like catwalk shots. They do actually look like they're in a lush palace. She's in a Harper's Bazaar style editorial. This one looks a little bit like an animated, sort of cartoonish look to it. This looks like a photograph. It looks like a lush palace. It's clearly wearing a sari. And again, looks like some sort of lush palace and in a sari. But you can see that because we haven't prompted a few other specifics, the variety between the four images is still quite high. So let's rerun some of this and let's get to a more consistent set of images. An Indian model wearing Dolce & Gabbana saris in a lush Indian palace, shot in the style of a Harper's Bazaar fashion editorial. Photography in the style of Ina Mosina, a colourful editorial fashion shoot shot on a Canon 5D Mark III. That's the camera that I normally shoot on. And giving the camera and the photography style reference can give the AI model a little bit more of a clue of the type of image that we want here. The other thing we'll say is I want it to look a little bit cinematic. I want it to be shot at golden hour or sunset, and I want it to have an ethereal, soft fashion shoot. So let's hit enter on this one. Okay, I'm really enjoying some of these outputs now. So you can see that it's sunset, it's got a golden hour feel to the images, and that we've got some very colourful editorial images here. So now let's go back into Create, let's use this text, and now let's push up and down some of those parameters that we had. Let's choose version 5.1 of the model. Let's have a little bit more stylization. So let's pump that to 500, and I'll keep it on standard for now. So let's hit enter and see what we get now. So here you can see that the stylization has given it more of a consistent aesthetic look to the images, and I'm loving some of these. So when you go into the images that you've created, there are a couple of things you can do in create mode. So I can vary this in a strong or a subtle way. I can upscale the image to get a more detailed version and a bigger canvas size. I can also rerun the prompt, and I can use that image or the style of the image or that prompt again in another generation. So I'm going to rerun this. I'm going to vary this in a strong way as well, and I'm going to use the style of this image in a new prompt as well. So I'll use that style of image, but this time, and let's use this text, but this time, rather than Dolce and Gabbana, let's say wearing Gucci floral saris, and I'm going to put Gucci Florals 2023. Oh, doesn't support SREF. Okay. So now that I've used this style reference, it's telling me that I had the old version and that version doesn't support style references. So what I'll do is I'm going to change the version and then we hit enter. So let's go and have a look at what it's created for us. So I took this and I ran that prompt, and so we've got a couple more images that have been created for us in that similar style. I then varied that image, so that's quite subtle variation, but you can see it's got slightly different palace backgrounds. The model's hairstyle is very slightly different, and yeah, so it's mainly varied the palace background for her. And then using the style reference for the Gucci creations, you can see here that it's got a slightly different style to the sari now. And so it's looking more like a Gucci style floral than a Dolce & Gabbana style floral. And let's rerun that prompt as well and see what it will give us. So you can see we're getting quite a consistent feel now in the images, less variety, a little bit more cohesion in that image set. So if I use that prompt again, and then I come into here and I do some landscape generations, and I'll do a 16:9 on this one. Let's then hit enter. And so you can see even just by changing the aspect ratio, you can get quite a different render and look and feel to your images. So hopefully that gives you a bit of an idea of how to text prompt and the different aspects and specificity that you can use, the different parameters in Midjourney, and how to use style references and how to stylize your images, how to use different versions, how to vary your images, how to rerun your prompts, and gives you a little bit more of an idea of the different types of features that there are in Midjourney for how to create your images. For more content like this, do give me a follow and I'll see you in the next one.